Hello everybody, today I'm making some Christmas baubles for myself. I've made these ones a couple of years ago, and when I was putting up my Christmas tree this year I thought I really wish I'd made more. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I need to do a Christmas project this year. I do one every year for myself, I always have. And I've started two already, but I don't like them, so I'm making baubles. It's a good fallback. So I have these little baubles here. I got them for 50 cents. It's a full pack from the op shop. Some of them have got a few dents in them, but I'm not overly concerned about that because you can disguise that sort of thing. 6 centimeters, which is about 2.25 inch, I guess you could say, baubles. So 6 centimeter bauble. What I've got is this gorgeous fabric. I absolutely love it for Christmas decorations. It's often just off an old little girl's garment that I cut up, and I've made some circles. These circles are 3.25 inches diameter, or about 8.5 centimeters diameter. And what I'm going to do is I've got some glue in my glue pen, and I've started using a new glue that a lot of people use. It's the art glitter glue. I got this from Paper Inspirations. I got a big bottle so that because when you're ordering online you have to be paying for shipping and that, so if you order a large one, it makes it a little bit more cost effective. You don't have to keep ordering it. So, and it seems to be working quite well at the moment, especially on papers and things like that. Now I'm only putting a little bit at the top of the bauble there, and then I'm just going to smooth it out because I don't want it seeping through the fabric or anything like that. That's mainly to hold that fabric nicely in place on the top of the bauble. I just need another wet one out. There we go. Get the glue off my finger. Okay, so I'm just grabbing one of these and sort of guessing where the centre might be. This bauble seems to have a little line. They don't all have that, but the little line helps you to gauge whether you've got it fairly central, and I do. And so I'm just pressing that down nicely across the top there. And then to get the edges in place, I'm using the Helmar craft glue. You have to watch using these kinds of glues on foam balls because they can eat away at the foam if you're not careful. So if you're using a glue like this, be sure it's sort of in a place that may not be seen. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue around the edge of the bauble like that. And I'm just going to smooth that down, trying to ease out as much of the wrinkling as I can, so it's not wrinkled, because I don't want a wrinkled bauble. And do the same thing again here. Like that. And when you get wrinkles like that, you just sort of pull and play with it a little bit and ease those big wrinkles into little tiny ones. And the more you play with it, the better it gets. Like that. And even those little ones will be covered, so they won't be noticeable when the bauble's finished at all. But we just don't want any big wrinkles going up the side of the, going up here or anything like that. So just bringing it down. See how that's a large one there? We don't want that, so we've got to ease those ones out as much as possible. And this fabric's quite nice because it has a little bit of a stretch to it, and that's always a nice thing if you're covering something circular like this. Okay, that looks about right. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do exactly the same thing on this side of the bauble, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that is done. Both sides are done. I know it looks a little bit of a mess, but that will all be covered over, so I don't need to worry about that. What I need to do now, though, is find my center that way. I've got a large needle here, and I've got some thread that I found thrifting many years ago. I'm just going to cut a length of that off. And then we're going to try and get this through this, which is not always easy, but sometimes it is, so it just depends how it goes. I can see it. It's quite a thick thread, so I can't use the needle threader with it. It just doesn't like to play that. If I can get a couple of threads through it, I can generally pull it straight through. It's just getting a couple of threads through to start with. There we go, I got a couple. There we go. See, once you get a couple of the threads, you can pull the rest of it through, which is nice. So now I want to try and find where I think the center might be. Oh, and hope that I get it fairly straight. It's a lot of looking and turning to see if it's in the middle. I think it needs to go that way just a little bit. That might be better. I think that's... Ooh. I think I'm going to have to go back to the original. It was better. Okay, so pull that through, leaving a tail, and then I'm getting myself a big bead. I've got a few extra beads here, and I want one of the large beads off the bottom. You don't have to use a large one, but that's how I made the ones that I made a couple of years ago, and I kind of want them all to have a similarity to them. They're not going to be exactly the same. The baubles are actually a different size to start with. I used a bigger bauble last time. I'm pulling it through, but I don't want to pull it too tight. Taking that off now. And that's just the only reason I've done that now is because when I start decorating it, it'll be more difficult to put that on. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add some beads. I have some lovely bead dangle trim, and this was sent to me by Rita quite some time ago now. I've put a bit of glue on each end to stop beads from falling off. And what I want to do is put it around here, around the center. But to do that, I want to do it nice and even. So I've cut myself a little bit of fabric scrap that I had on my desk. And I think, what have I cut that to? That is 1.5 inches. I've cut that to, and I'm going to just position it where the thread is and where the corner is there. I'm just going to make a little mark underneath like that, just so I can gauge it, and then I'm going to do the same sort of thing all the way around, and that way when I put my trim on, I have a guideline of, you know, to keep it fairly even. Almost done. There. Okay, so we've got our guideline now. Now I can start putting a bit of glue on there. And this is pre-loved trim that Rita sent me, but I think it's fabulous. You always cover the tape part of a trim like this anyway. It was very kind of her. So I'm just going to position the tape where, just on that line around there, like that. And doing a little bit at a time. Oops, don't want to get that glued on. Have to be careful. Let's move that. That. Like that. I'm just pressing. Fingers are a bit sticky, just wipe them off. Okay. I'm just going to hold it up so I can see how straight it looks. It looks fairly good. From different angles you kind of think, oh, that doesn't look straight, but when you hang it by the hanger, it looks fine. There we go. And now I'm going to be using some lovely vintage trim to go around the top of the tape there. That's this one here. You can use it either way. You can use it that way, or you can use it that way. I think I'm going to use it that way because that's how I did the old ones, and they look quite nice. So where that tape overlapped just a little bit there, I'm going to not do the same thing on this one. I'm going to start it in a slightly different spot so that, you know, it doesn't become bulky in just one area. So I could take it to the other side if I wanted to and start over here, which is what I think I'll do. This is quite a wide tape and that's narrow tape, so I've got to just make sure I do wide enough glue to hold it on nicely. Like that. Okay, so I'm just lining the bottom of this trim up with the top of the beads there, so it covers all of that tape. Oops. Try not to get glue onto your beads. There we go. Find out where the join is, so I want to be cutting about there, like that. Come on, glue. The other day it was just gushing out because the weather was so hot. And now it's being lazy. Okay. So all that mess has now been covered up quite nicely. It's covered up all the join in the fabric. Even if you were to see a little bit, you can't actually see it because all the beads are there anyway. So it's quite a forgiving Christmas bauble, this one. Yeah, quite effective. Okay. Now, because this is only a small bauble, we get this little gap here, bit of a gap. But we're going to fix that now. I'm going to finish it off with some rhinestone trim. This is quite a large rhinestone trim. It's got gaps in it. But what I'm going to do is put some glue. Let me just wipe that top off a bit. There we go. I'm going to put some glue and I'm going to kind of head it into that gap a bit, so if it drips, it's going to drip down and close that gap, but also leave enough glue at the top there for my rhinestone trim. So I want some glue there for the rhinestone trim to grab to. Like that, but because it's a gappy rhinestone trim, I'm going to push it together, close together like that, because that little gap in between the little rhinestones, it goes into the metal, so you can tighten up the rhinestone, the look of it, which is what I want. Like that. I hope you can see what I'm doing there, just slotting it inside so it's no longer gappy like that. It's all together and all you do is push it in. So now before I continue on, I'm just going to press that down so it holds, and press down my braided trim as well. Okay, like that. And that will finish the top of that off quite nicely. If you don't have the chain rhinestone, you can use the mesh trim as well, the plastic kind of one. It looks lovely on Christmas decorations. Most Christmas decorations, they are a distance thing anyway, aren't they? They're just, you don't stand next to the tree permanently. You're sat down or you're walking around and you see them that way. Ooh, don't want that sticking. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. There we go, a little bit more. When there's a gap like that, I just put a little bit in the top there, and then come back and make sure there's enough for the rhinestone to grab to. Like that. Might be a little bit short. Yeah. Yep. A couple of rhinestones too short, about 2 or 3. Okay. I'll just press those down. Make sure they look fine, and I think I've got one left over here, a little bit here. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, I think. We'll see. These scissors are fabulous for things like this because they're so strong. I don't know if I've got enough glue in there. Just let's have put a little bit more. And let's hope, yep, they just fit. Just fit in there fine. Okay, and there we have our rhinestone trim. I'm just going to hang it and have a look. Make sure it looks all straight, or as straight as possible. Now, just here where the trim was cut, I don't want that fraying away, so I'm just going to put a bit of this clear glue over there. You wouldn't do this on something where it would show, but because it's sparkly stuff, and then just tap it, that will help to stop that fraying. And once that dries, you won't see that glue at all. In fact, I can't see the glue now. I know it's there, but just to stop it fraying away. There we go. So that's what it looks like. When you position it on the tree, you would position the join of that larger trim to the back of the ornament, I would think. I will. There we go. And that's what it looks like so far. Very pretty. Now I just need to find some beads for the top, and then I'll be back and continue on. So I had these beads, but these were wrong. They're just the wrong colour for the baubles. They don't look right. And I was going to try and find a beaded necklace at the op shop or something, but then I thought, you know, I just need to use what I've got. So I've got these shinier ones like that. They're a bit smaller, but they're shiny. And I'm going to use that on 3 of the baubles because in between I've made a couple more. And then I have one odd one, but that's okay because I have one odd bauble. I've got these bead caps here, but see how they've discoloured? They're supposed to be silver, but they're bordering on gold now. And they're just the wrong colour. But what I'm doing is I've got a Sharpie, a silver Sharpie. I don't have a metallic silver. I only have gold at the moment. And I'm just going over it with this silver Sharpie. And then I'm wiping it off just a little bit, not a lot, just taking that off so the texture shows up a little bit, and it makes it look a little bit more shiny by doing that. So I'm doing that, and hopefully that won't look too bad. Of course, I've made a mess of my fingers by doing that, but there we go, that's crafting. And I'm hoping that will work. And then this is an odd one that I'm going to use, and now I have to thread a needle. So like I said, I've done this one here. I've done 3 of those, and then this one is more in keeping with the one it's just got darker beads at the bottom, that's all. These are the original beads that I used on the 2 that I made a couple of years ago, and these are white or clear beads, but that's okay, because then I'll have 3 like this and 3 like this. So I'm just going to, I've got to thread my needle, but before I do that, I just want to tie a knot so that I don't pull that bottom bead any tighter than what it is, because I like it dangling. Okay, so that should be fine. Yep, that's dangling, just that one under there, it's got a dangle going. And now I have to try and thread this through these pearls, which is no easy feat. I need a bigger needle. I've got, if I can think where I've put it, a beading needle, which might be just the thing that I need. I'm just trying to see if I've got one over here already out. It doesn't look like I do. So let me see if I've got one here. There we go. Here they are. Found them. Beading needles. These may work better. These ones open in the centre, like so. So when you've got these things, hopefully it will make my job easier. Let's get them even, shall we? So all I have to do is put that through there. Even that was a bit tricky to get through, wasn't it? Hang on. There we go. I think I tied too many knots. I did. I have to undo some of those knots. Okay, I will be back. Okay, so these did not work. The thread is too thick to go through the little hole in these, so that idea can't work. So what I've done is put a little spacer bead, the pearl, and another spacer bead, and it's like that. And I think that is going to work. The other ones that I made a couple of years ago look quite lovely, and they only have 2 beads. They have a large bead and then a smaller bead, and they look quite lovely on the tree. I'm not even sure if it needs that spacer bead here, to be honest. You know, I'm just trying to see if it needs it or not. I think it does. I'll leave it on. And so what I'm going to do now is, now I can tie a knot here so the beads don't move. I can probably tie 2 knots. I just want to make sure that other under here is loose enough. Okay, that's loose. So I've got my knots tied there. My bead underneath is still loose, which is good. And then I just decide how long I want my hanger. And I just because it's quite a long decoration, I don't want my hanger too long. I don't have a big tree. About that will be fine for me, because that makes it, you know, a good almost 8 inches from there to there. Then I can just trim off the ends, and there's my first decoration. But what I think I will do, put a little bit of glossy accents here and here, just to stop those from moving around too much. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. A little bit of glossy accents in there. See if I can get into it. Let's see if it wants to work, because I don't I don't use it very often. So okay, I need to find a pin. This one's already been used. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit there. Come on, glossy accents, you can do it. It's been a while. Through. Yep, it's coming. It's coming. So slow. Okay. So we've got a bit on there. I'm going to put a bit on here. Like that. Oops. A bit under here. Like that. Now, there, that's how it will go. I think that will be fine. So I'm going to leave that, do the others, and then let them dry. And once they've dried, I will show you what they look like. Okay, oops, stop touching it now. Okay, I'm going to put it down to dry now. So I've got to do that one, and that one. And that one will be slightly different. I have this big bead. This was actually from Gail. And so I think I'll use that, because that's quite pretty, isn't it? That can go on there. And I don't think this will need a spacer underneath it. Just for, oh no, there was a bead cap I had, wasn't there? Because that's got a big mark there. Not a mark, it's got a bigger base, that's the word. And so that bead cap will cover that base up like that. And it will look like that. So I think that would be nice for that. Okay, I'm going to go finish them all. Okay, so they have dried now. It's now the next day, so they're nice and stable. And I thought, I really do love the way they look, but I want a little bit of something extra on them. So I'm going to put a couple of bows on them. That's the seam at the back, so I'm going to put it on the front here. And I've made a couple of bows, and I've just tied them with a bit of yarn in the center, you know, a bit of thread in the center, sorry. just going to apply a bit of glue there and put it right there. I think that will just help to add a little bit more decoration to them. And finish it off. I've just got, oh, here they are, little sparkle. I'm not putting a rhinestone because rhinestones tend to sit up a little bit too much. I'm just going to put a flat back sparkle, but I'm just, although they're sticky, I'm going to put a little bit more glue on the back there to hold it in place, and that will go just on the top there, like that, to finish it off. There we go. I think that looks really nice. I used everything that I already had. The ribbon I already had, all the beads I already had. I almost went and tried to find more, but I'm trying to use, you know, things I already have. So I've got one more to finish off, which is this one here, and then they are done. So I just I put a little bit of glue on the back just to stop the, you know, in case the little bit of thread came undone. Let's make sure we've got the right, where's our join? Oh, there it is there. So we want to be on this side here, about there, will be fine, like that. Make sure our bow's looking nice. I'm not the best maker of bows at all, so that's why I didn't make them on film, because it's terrible to watch me make bows. I'm just all thumbs. Some people can do it beautifully. It's a task for me, so I I pre-made them just to save you all the pain of watching. And I used a bow maker as well. Oops, see, I missed that. Oh gosh. Get up. There we go. Like that. Yay. Done. Done. Okay. Let me show them to you. I'll just put something over the top of this so it looks a bit nicer. Okay, that looks a bit tidier and cleaner, doesn't it? There's my 4 baubles made. I have 3 of the same style with the clear beads down the bottom and the pearl bead on the top. And then I have this little one here which has the different colour beads down the bottom, and it has a silver bead at the top there. And I'm really happy with how they've turned out. They are slightly different to the ones I made a couple of years ago because these are a little bit smaller, and of course I didn't have the same. Oh, hello. Move along. Keep going. Good girl. Oh my goodness. You wanted to say hello, did you? Okay, you have a cuddle. She's still here. I'm having a cuddle. But they match, but they're not identical to the ones that I made a couple of years ago. But I'm really happy with them. I think they're ever so pretty. And I hope you've enjoyed watching how to put them together. After you've made the first one, the others go very, very easily. It's just a matter of getting that first one correct. So there we go, Christmas baubles for 2022. And I'll be putting those on my Christmas tree today. So take care, everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.